In this tutorial, we'll talk about Boolean functions. And the syntax for a Boolean function, we start with the Boolean function name. Then it takes input arguments, logical tests. So you can put as many logical tests as you want. And here we'll talk about 4 examples of Boolean functions. The first one is the AND function. And the AND function will return a true value if all the tests are true. So if one of the tests is false, it will return a false value. For the OR function, it will return a true value if one or more of the tests are true. However, if all the tests are false, it will return a false value. For the NOT function, it will reverse the Boolean value of the argument. So if the test, for example, returns a true value, the NOT function will reverse this value and will return a false value, and vice versa. The last one we'll talk about is the Xor function. And the Xor function will return a true value if one and only one of the tests is true. So for example, if 2 tests are true, it will return a false value. So it requires only one and only one test to be true to return a true value. Now let's use these functions in the following example with the following values. We start first with the AND Boolean function. Type in =, then the AND, and let's do 2 tests. For example, select cell A3 and test if it is greater than 3. And the second test, for example, we select cell A4 and test it if it is equal to 6, which is correct. So here the 2 tests are true, so the AND function will return a true value. Now let's repeat the example. However, now we will say that if A3 is greater than 3, which is true, and for the second test, we will say if A4 is equal to 5, which is not true. So if any of the tests is false, the AND Boolean function will return a false value. Now let's use the OR Boolean function. So start with the =, then OR. So let's say if A5 is equal to 10, insert a comma, then the second test if A6 is less than 5, which is wrong. So one is true and the other is wrong. So the OR function will return a true value if one or more of the tests are true. So here it doesn't have to be for all the tests to be true to return a true value. So just one or more to return a true value. So hit the enter key and it will return a true value. Now let's repeat with the OR. However, this time we will put 2 untrue logical tests. So for example, select cell A5 and say if it is equal to 11. And the second test, select cell A6 and put if it is equal to A6 greater than, for example, 8, which is untrue. So the 2 tests are not true. So for this reason, the OR function will return a false value. Now let's do an example with the NOT function, =NOT. Then select cell A4, cell A3, and greater than 5. So A3 greater than 5, which is not true. So A3 greater than 5 as an argument is a false value, and the NOT Boolean function will reverse this false value and return a true value instead. Now we can do another one with the NOT function. If =NOT, and let's select cell A4. However, this time we will say that A4 is equal to 6, which is true. However, the not function will reverse this value and return a false one. Now, the last example with the Xor function equal to Xor, and say A5 is equal to 10, and the second one, A6 is greater than 6. And here the two tests are correct and are true. However, the Xor function will return a false value, since it will return a true value if one and only one of the tests is true. And here we have two tests that are true. So for this reason, it will return a false value. Now let's do another one, the Xor function. However, this time, for example, select cell A3 and it is equal to 4, which is true. Select cell A5, which is, for example, let's test if A5 is less than 6, which is not true. And select cell A6, say if it is equal to 8, which is not true also. So between these three tests, only the first one is true, and the second one and the third one are not true. So for this reason, the Xor function will return a true value, since only one value of these tests is true. Now you know about Boolean functions. Try to experiment with them to see if you understand the concept.